Hi, I'm Benjamin Mack-Jackson, founder of the World War II Veterans History Project. I started this project in the summer of 2015 with the goal of providing knowledge and inspiration to my generation so they can better appreciate and understand what these heroes went through. My mission is to preserve the memories of the greatest generation. In this story, World War II nurse veteran Dorothy Baggett speaks about witnessing the horrors of the infamous Dachau concentration camp. As she traveled around Europe, she came across Hitler's mountain retreat at Berchtesgaden, as well as many other landmarks of the Nazi regime. She shares her sadness for all of the young soldiers killed during the war and is now humbled by her hero status. Here's her story.
My maiden name was Dorothy Mika, M-W-K-E-R, and I married William Robert Baggett. I entered as a second lieutenant, and when I was in Dachau, I got a promotion to first lieutenant. I was with an evacuation hospital. This was formed out in Texas, and we rode a train up to Boston, Massachusetts to catch our ship to go to Le Havre, France. And we, if you're familiar with an evacuation hospital, it was formed in tents, our hospital was, and we traveled by truck carrying these tents. We would go out, when we were in France, go out and walk around, and one girl, she liked boiled eggs, and she could say, "Avez-vous des? She could say, I think that's what she said, "Avez-vous des? Do you know what that means in French or whatever? She could say that to some of the, neighbors. They'd give us eggs to boil. And we lived in a great big chateau, just stories tall, and attached with it a chapel. But we landed there and it was icy cold like here. We went up to this dormitory and it was really long, we had 40 nurses. Well, the doctors and corpsmen didn't stay with us, all the nurses by themselves. And we had a little pot-bellied stove between each cot. We put our bedrolls out, slept in that with this little pot-bellied stove to keep us warm. But it was really cold. And we ate down in the basement, icy cold. They served pretty good food. And we went outside and we had a mess kit. It consisted of a metal plate with a cup and a spoon and a fork. We'd go out and wash our mess plates off in this little canister of water. And we'd go back and take a piece of bread after we ate because we didn't have any snacks except this thing we had on the ship with dry cheese and chocolate. And we'd fry us a piece of bread on that pot-bellied stove. And also, we didn't have a shower or anything. We put water in our helmet, heated it on this little stove, and took a spit bath, if you know what a spit bath is, a little here and a little there. And finally, they made us a shower. You got in the shower, you stripped, and they pulled the string when the water started. You better get the shampoo in the bath. You're out if you're not finished. That's it, no more water. But it was kind of rough living, but fun. We had fun. One day they had a drawing with our names in a helmet for a trip to Paris. A little overstayed one day, We got there, and I happened to know a girl that I was stationed with in Lockwood, Ohio. I was in the Air Corps then, and she took us around the city, what she could show us. We had a good time, but we traveled there by truck and back by truck, you know, cold. But like I said, we had fun. But we stayed there several weeks waiting for a call to go out. We had a good time. We really did. They were good to us. We loaded our trucks and tents and everything, and we traveled across France and into Germany. But the war was moving so fast, we would set up, you know, with our tents and drape our tents with sterile sheets for surgery. But we never received any of the boys from the line, from the front. But the field hospital, what they call, would receive them first and do what they could for them. And then they would ship them to us. We were the evacuation hospital, what it said, evacuate. We'd ship them out by plane back to Germany to a general hospital. They could give more care, you know, and ready them to be flown home. I'm so glad we never encountered the American troops, you know, to see the sorrow and the hurt. Dachau concentration camp was liberated by the Americans on the 29th of April. And we moved into Dachau concentration camp on the 3rd of May. And we stayed there about 4 months, I believe, best I can remember. But the VE Day came while we were there. This is a picture of how Dachau looked. When we went to Dachau, this is where the SS troopers were housed. See how the building shot up? They escaped and ran and got in the compound with the prisoners to hide. But this is where we lived while we were at Dachau. It had a beautiful dining room where we dined like kings and queens, and they had an orchestra. That's what the SS troopers were enjoying. The crematory was right down here. They were big cylinders like with bodies. And all outside was stacked with bodies, naked bodies. This part of the crematory was a room where you could see hooks. They undressed them, see. They were going to give them a shower. Because their clothes were hanging here. The bodies were outside and also in the ovens themselves where they burned them. This was a makeshift barrack type thing that we used as hospitals, you know, with cots from the limb. And all we could do for them was dress wounds and, you know, give them IVs. They wanted food, solid food, but we couldn't do that. And there really wasn't much we could do for them because they were full of typhus and malnutrition. All they wanted to do is just touch you, you know, get just something.
The Berghof, also called the Eagle's Nest, was Adolf Hitler's vacation home in the Bavarian Alps near Berchtesgaden, Germany. Despite being a retreat from the war, many German and international political leaders visited the Berghof for diplomatic purposes. This film, taken by Hitler's mistress, Eva Braun, shows what life was like for Hitler in his mountain hideaway. First Lieutenant Baggett was given a tour of the luxurious residence after American soldiers liberated it in 1945.
So we were inoculated for malaria and all that stuff because we were going to the Pacific. But on our way, on a train down to Marseille, France to catch our ship, war was declared over in Japan. So somebody came out we stopped at a station. A young man came out to the train. We rode in boxcars. It was fun in the boxcar instead of a coach. We'd stop along the railroad track, make coffee. They set up, the Germans would set up like cafes for us to eat is on our way, you know. We'd get off the train and go to these cafes they set up for us. Anyhow, somebody came out to the train and said, "Have y'all heard the war's over in Japan?" Of course, we had no way of hearing, and no, we hadn't heard. But anyhow, we went on to Marseille, France, and waited for our ship to come in to take us home. And we were just laying around doing nothing, you know, wait and wait and wait. Somebody said, "Who wants to go to work?" I didn't put my name on the list. You don't know what you're volunteering for. So I got to go to Paris, France, and work in the American hospital. Now you put on a dress and ate at a dining table. It was a treat. But I worked there about a week or so. I don't really recall how long. But I went back to my unit, and then we boarded the ship and came home. We landed at Fort Benning, Georgia, the best I can remember. And I was given a 30-day leave to go home. You could make up your mind if you wanted to remain in the military or you wanted to be discharged. And I wanted my 30-day leave. I wasn't going to be discharged and not get that. Everybody else was getting it, you know. Why get out now if you don't really know what you want to do? So I said, I want my 30-day leave. So I went home for 30 days and I made up my mind I didn't want to stay in the military. So I got discharged. And then I got married to my sweetie that I met before I went in the service. He was in the Navy and he went the other way. If you ever heard of a female letter, that was what his job was. He was sent to California, San Diego, San Francisco, and then he was sent to Guam. That was an island just full of rock. That's all it was, rock. And they set up these Quonset huts. You ever seen a Quonset? They had charge of V-mail. They would get mail. You wrote your sweetie. Your letter was censored. Anything that helped the enemy was censored out. And if she sent you a sexy picture, they stole them and kept them. If you want to know where it went. But anyhow, we got married in '46, February of '46. We got home in November of '45. We got married in '46, and I was married 65 years to a beautiful young man. Beautiful, white teeth, big, broad, wonderful father, husband, everything you wanted. But he died about 4 years ago. I've been honored so many times. You feel so undeserving. You know, what did I do? It's just so much to be honored. Really. You just, like I say, why me? When all those poor boys, you know.
Mrs. Baggett continued as a nurse at Maxwell Air Base for many years after the war. She currently resides in Oxford, Florida. She is 95 years old. To learn more about the World War II Veterans History Project, please visit our website at www.veteranshistoryproject.com. We look forward to seeing you again for more exciting stories from the greatest generation.
Production support for the Veterans History Project is made possible by the Parady Financial Group, proudly saluting the extraordinary students who make up our future generation, and the military veterans from the greatest generation.